Hey everybody, it's Hunter from Synergy Worship. I'm here in the studio with Ted, and we're just kind of talking about some different stuff from the album. For those of you who don't know, most of our writing process for our music is actually more like prophetic flow and spontaneous song that turns into something bigger. Our Sunday night services especially typically lend to having lots of flow time and stuff like that. And I mean, I can tell you that even off the top of my head, 3 or 4 of the songs that are on this album were birthed out of those prophetic environments, those spontaneous moments.
Come out of nowhere, really.
Yeah, like Oasis especially. I think back to Oasis, Allie started singing the chorus and the bridge of that song really, and actually it started with the verse. The verse on a Wednesday night, I played that progression, the intro progression, just on a whim. It was like Holy Spirit said, play this now. So I played that, and she wrote like that first section of the verse, and then it developed into that. And then we brought it back to the studio and kind of fleshed it out more and added melody parts, added different stuff.
Went all the way in with it.
Yeah, nice. Good. It was a good one. Yeah. But yeah, it was really fun though, like to start developing so many of those, like, okay, that just the simple progression turned into the whole, like, you know, driving acoustic section, and then it came time for, we're like, oh, we feel like a solo needs to be here, and you started talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, we thinking about how, like, to switch the song up a little bit and not make it so repetitive, because it's easy to get into a repetitive flow with a lot of stuff that comes out of a repetitive flow.
Yeah.
Which in the moment during a worship service is not a bad thing at all, but in a creativity kind of standpoint, in a composition standpoint, you do want dynamics. You want a certain, like, structure to how a song is placed. Yeah. Because then later on you can just play it however you want on stage. Mm-hmm. But when it came time for the solo, we wanted to kind of break it up a little bit, which is exactly what we did. We broke it up. Literally. So we did these hits, and then the wailing cry of the guitar came in. And yeah, oh wow, that would have been great with that. Yeah, doing that really, and then after all of that happened, we brought it all the way down to just drums and bass.
Yeah.
Not the genre, but literally drums and bass.
I mean, that ended up being a really cool thing, sitting with Brandon here in the studio. Like, after we got done with the solo, we're like showing him everything, and we had this idea to go drum and bass right out of that solo, and just really break it down for a second and for lack of a better way of saying it, groove it up. But then we got in the studio, and Brandon sat down behind us and was working different parts of the bass, and he's like, what if I try to do this like full, like, motion kind of thing? And we're like, yeah, let's try it. And as soon as he did it, we were all like, wait a minute, this is so cool.
Sometimes you just kind of know.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, well, moving on.
It's so cool. So cool. And I just love how things kind of develop together. You know, God gives you something, and it might be simplistic in nature even, but when you sit down and go, okay, I'm going to work the gift that God's given me in this development process, and you see God flesh something even bigger out.
Yeah.